Ladies, gentlemen, and all you internet trolls, welcome to episode 4 of Fan Fridays, the show where I give outsiders an inside look into the mind of an MLB All-Star. Have you ever wondered what I did with my signing bonus? Well, stick around. I answer that question and many more right after the break. All right, let's answer some questions from YouTube first. Question number 1, what are some of the main statistics I like to look at in order to judge my performance? Well, first things first, I look at velocity. Was my velocity up or down, and on all the different pitches? Generally speaking, I maintain a pretty narrow band of velocities, but that's a really big indicator of how you're gonna do on the day. If your fastball velocity is up, you have a better chance of being successful. If it's down, worse chance of being successful. From there, we go and we look at pitch breaks. We look at fastball movement, slider movement, curveball movement, all of those different things. Then from there, we look at pitch distributions. How many pitches of each type did I throw? Was I imbalanced? Did I throw too many of one type, not enough of another type? Something like that. And then I go through and I actually grade my performance on command. And I'll give myself, generally I rate it like 1 to 10 scale. Where was I trying to throw each pitch, and did I get it there? If I threw it exactly where I wanted to, it's a 10. If it's a complete waste pitch and I bounced it halfway to the plate or threw it to the backstop or something, it's a 1. And then I go through and give myself a command score for each game. That's generally all I look at. I don't mind looking at ERA or WAR. Some of those things are kind of fun to look at every now and then, but if we're just looking at evaluating a performance, those are the things that I think really matter. Besides competing and how's my mindset and some of those kind of some of those things that can't really be measured by statistics, just that I know internally and I'll make a note of it, but that's kind of my process for breaking down a game. Question number 2, would you ever rock a longer hairstyle or a beard? The answer to that is yes. I've done it 3 times in my life. Once I did it during the College World Series. I had a little flow coming out the back of my hat. It was not the best, but there's a little bit there. The second time I did it on a dare from one of my buddies to not cut my hair the remainder of the season. It was like 3 months long, and I actually ended up making the big leagues that year, 2012. I had a little bit of flow with Arizona and then cut it immediately afterwards. The third time was actually a dare from my same buddy, and he dared me not to shave or cut my hair all off season through the end of spring training. Funny story on that, I show up to spring training and my traveling secretary tells me that I have to get my passport renewed so that when we go to play Toronto, I could get into the country. So I walked into the passport office, had to take a new passport picture in this scraggly, ugly beard. The way my facial hair comes in too, I get like a little space right in the middle here, and then like this kind of fills out, and then I have a couple patches over here that just don't grow hair at all. And then I grow like a lot of hair kind of on my neck, a neared or whatever people might call it. So it's not pretty. And then my hair was all over the place, and I was tired the day that I walked in there to do it. So I definitely look like a terrorist on that. It's just not a pretty picture. Question number 3, what is the most underrated part of youth development? That's a great question. I have so many things to say on this. One of the things that's killing youth development is competing for tournament wins and national rankings at 5 years old. Some of these kids don't even know which direction first base is yet, but we have national rankings and you're paying to go to showcases and national tournaments so that your 5-year-old T-ball team can be ranked 5th in the country, like it even matters at 5 years old. The most underrated part of youth development is just playing, not games. We're not talking about games. We're talking about practice here. We're gonna reverse this, go a little bit reverse Allen Iverson, okay? We don't wanna play games. We wanna go out in the street, out at the complex. We just wanna play the game, play pickle, play 3 flies you're up. We played butts up all the time. Just play, have fun. Field ground balls, try to throw on the run, try to imitate your favorite players. Go out there and just play with your buddies. That's how you develop. It's those moments where you're trying to push yourself just past your skill level that you get better. You fail, you fall down, you don't catch a ball, you dive, you hurt yourself, you figure it out. That's how you develop when as a kid. You go out there and you teach your body how to be athletic by moving and by playing. Not playing games where everything's kind of structured. Play pickup games, play skill development games, all that stuff. So I have a lot of You can probably tell I'm passionate about this. I think kids should be you shouldn't be playing weekend tournaments and 100 games a year at 10 years old. You should be out there just working on your skills, trying to hit the ball further, trying to hit the ball harder, trying to swing a little bit different, like trying to hit the ball off the bounce. Make the games challenging and make them fun and compete with your friends, but just for fun, and teach your body how to move in that environment. And that's the most underrated part, I think. Youth baseball has shifted a lot more towards, we're going to play. We're going to have early strength and conditioning coaches at 7 years old. We're going to pay for the best travel ball coaches and the best private instructors and blah, 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 blah. That's not how it's done. The best skill development experiment in baseball that's ever been done is the Dominican Republic. Those kids don't have anywhere near the resources that we have here in the United States, and yet they turn out some of the best baseball players in the world because they go out and they play. They challenge themselves, they make use of what they have, and they have fun playing the game, and they teach their bodies how to accomplish a very specific goal, which is hit the ball far, throw the ball hard, do what I can to become a better baseball player so I can get out of poverty in some cases and get to the United States, get to Major League Baseball, take care of my family, take care of my friends. These kids have a lot of motivation, but they're not playing organized games 6 a week or a full season of 30 games and then summer ball and then travel ball, and then they're not doing that. They're developing their skills and having fun playing the game with their buddies. All right, and now for some questions from my fans over at trevorbauer.com. Garrett Brunstetter asks, is fastball spin rate something that can be developed, or is it just natural? That's a tough question. The answer is we don't really know. I'm positive that it can be developed. It will be found at some point. Up to this point, the only way that we've found to really increase fastball spin rate reliably and in large measurable chunks is to use foreign substance. Pine tar, sunscreen and rosin, firm grip, gorilla snot. There's so many other ones that I can't even think of off the top of my head. But if you use foreign substance on the ball, generally your spinning rate goes up. Likelihood is because there's more friction between the fingers and the ball itself. So when you're going to spin the ball, you actually get more torque around the center of mass of the ball. There's also some people that think, I'm personally one of these people, that if the ball is going to slip off your hand kind of in this position, but then the foreign substance allows you to get your fingers more to this position and you can pull more tangentially to the center of mass as opposed to pushing through the center of mass, that the ball is going to spin more. The short answer is it needs more testing. The long answer is it's very complicated, and those are some of the things that we've tested. We're continuing to do so. I think that there's some things that'll come out in the next couple of years with some dedicated studies that will be able to create a training program for fastball spin rate. Patricia Dowd asks, when others would have given up, what drove you as a child to continue to practice your pitching, seeing as how it doesn't seem you had any parental force behind you? Is it the same thing that drives you today to be as great as you possibly can? Thanks. Well, yes, it is the same thing that drives me today. I've always just wanted to be the best at what I do. I'm an intense competitor. I want to be the best. I want to prove to myself that I can be the best at whatever I set my mind to, whether that's baseball, business, drones, photography, it doesn't matter. I want to be the best at something because that's what, for whatever reason, I don't know how or why, but that's how my mind is made up. That's how it works. When I set my mind to something, I want to prove to myself that I can excel at it. And so that's what drives me to be better at baseball. I always wanted to outcompete the kid next to me, to make the high school team, to be slightly better than the best high school pitcher that we had, and then slightly better than the guy that was the best guy in the conference, and then slightly better than the best guy in the state, and then make it to college and be the best college player in the nation, and then make it to the big leagues and be the best pitcher in the big leagues, and then make it to the All-Star game and be the best pitcher in the All-Star game, and then just continue going up and up and up and up. Like, that's how my mind works, and that's what I want to do in business. That's what I want to do in baseball. Another part of your question, though, was about parental force behind me, and I want to touch on that. My parents were extremely supportive of me. They always gave me the ability to decide what I wanted to do, and they would support me in that, but they had some rules behind it. If I wanted to do baseball and have private lessons, then they would provide that, as long as I would go out and do the work on my own so that the private lessons were progressing. So I wasn't just taking the same lesson every single week. If I wanted to be good at chess club, they would put me in chess club, but I had to practice, I had to go play, I had to sit down and study the game. I had to do work outside of the activity that I was enjoying in order to continue to get to do that activity, and that taught me work ethic from a very young age. I had to own my career and my endeavors and my interests. And I did that. And my parents were very supportive and pushed me to do that, to work at what I wanted to do, not to do what they wanted me to do. And I think it's an important distinction to make, so I wanted to touch on that. But thanks, Patricia, for the question. Jake Yergert says, I love your approach to pitching. I think it's thoughtful and scientific. Have you ever thought about doing something in the world of education? I think it would be great to have a really authentic approach to practicing application for math and science out of the engineering and accounting worlds. Yes, I've thought about doing stuff in education. I would love to do stuff in education. I'm very passionate about giving back to the people, to the younger people in this world. There's a lot of people that helped me along my way in many different ways, from sharing information to taking me in, letting me live in their homes, letting me train, taking me under their wing and explaining things to me, or encouraging me to fight through something that I was going through, or that it would be okay in the future. If I didn't have all those role models and all those people encouraging me, I never would have gotten to where I am today. And I want to be that for the future generation of kids. I do a lot of work with after-school programs for kids, specifically for this reason. I am a nerd, 100%. That's what I identify as a nerd. I'm an athlete too, but I've kind of hacked my way into being an athlete. So I want to help the nerds out there understand a couple different things. One, that it's okay to be a nerd. I got beat up a lot in school, not physically, but mentally, for being a nerd and an athlete. I didn't really fit in either category. And so both categories kind of looked at me and like shunned me. I didn't really have a whole lot of friends. So I do a lot of work with after-school programs that support after-school activities for kids, so that they have a place to go and be around like-minded kids doing activities that they all love and develop those friendships and those bonds that I didn't really have as a kid. That's one way I'm involved. Another way I'm involved is trying to promote STEM. I'm really passionate about math and science. And you can use that through, or you can get some of those practical applications through baseball and teaching stats and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons that I have my new episode, Tips with Trev, coming out, is I want to be able to offer some of these practical applications and show that there is ways to apply math and science to sports, and there's way to apply a scientific method to achieving your goals, and there's ways to apply these things that aren't just, like you said, in the traditional accounting and engineering world. So I'm definitely passionate about it. I have a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm involved in business and baseball, and they're all kind of full-time jobs, and I try to balance them all, plus creating content for you guys on YouTube to try to be a role model and help advise the younger generation. So at some point I will get more into the education side of it. I just got to find time to get around to it. Noel Clay wants to know what I did with my signing bonus, what are card signing deals like, and can I do a video on momentum with my agent? So let's break this down. Part number one, what did I do with my signing bonus? Well, the first thing I did with my signing bonus is I bought a house, but a conservative house. It's a townhome. It's not very expensive. I got a car because I needed something reliable. That one, actually, I wanted to get a used truck. My dad kind of wanted my truck back. He really liked it, and it was getting a little bit towards the end of its life cycle and had broken down a couple times. So he actually encouraged me to go out and get a car that I liked and that I was interested in. But I bought it used, so I didn't go overboard with that. And then I invested most of my money actually in the stock market. It was right at the point where the market was going to recover from the housing crisis, and I was very lucky to get in kind of at the bottom, and so I made some good returns on that investment. But I set myself up for the future instead of going out and buying a bunch of cool or expensive things to live the lifestyle or whatever the case may be. I wanted to make sure that that went as far as it could in my life and set me up for life and set hopefully my kids up for life and future generations. So that's the first part. The second part, what are card signing deals like? Well, it depends. Sometimes they send you cards to sign at home. Sometimes they send a rep to have you sign with the rep. Those are always kind of interesting because you don't know who you're going to get. Sometimes they're really young kids that are looking to make a buck and they're still in college. Sometimes they're kind of old guys that are just really interested in the game and they just enjoy doing it as a hobby because they're retired and they like talking to players. It depends on who you get, and the conversations are always very interesting. I like meeting new people and talking to people and hearing their stories and their experiences with baseball and stuff. So the rep will come out, they'll meet you. Usually it's a 2-hour slot that you have, and I'll go through and sign either cards or stickers or sometimes some jerseys or balls or whatever the signing is for, and just talk baseball and life, and it's kind of enjoyable. When they send cards to me at home to sign, I have to block off 2 or 3 hours to sit down and go through and sign them all, and I don't have anyone to talk to, so usually put some music on and listen to some of my favorite bands or listen to some YouTube videos, some educational stuff, and try to teach myself a new skill while I'm kind of mindlessly going through and signing those cards. And the third part, can I do a video on momentum with my agent? Yes, I definitely will. We have a lot of content planned actually coming out soon over this next year. Rachel's a very smart woman and one of my best friends, so definitely look for her to be featured on future episodes on momentum and her own content that she's going to be putting out, some podcasts and some videos and stuff like that, all coming in 2020. Now that I've answered some of your questions, I have a question for you. I want to know who your favorite player is and what the first question you'd ask him is if you got to meet him. Let me know in the comments below, and as a reminder, these videos are only possible if you get involved. The more questions I'm asked, the more I answer, so if you like this video, tap the like button, share it with your friends, and encourage them to ask their questions as well. If you'd like a shout out in a future video, head over to trevorbauer.com, sign up for my email list, and submit your question on the homepage. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another Fan Friday.